ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಂದನೇ ಎರಡನೇ ಮೂರನೇ ಅಲೆ ಇನ್ನು ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆಲೆ ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಾಟ್ ದಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಸೇ Hello everyone, my name is Fizza Thaj and I'm a physiotherapist, consultant physiotherapist at Reader Physiotherapy and Wellness Clinic. And today we're in a conversation with Dr. Pradeep Senapati, who's an expert in community medicine and practicing community physician since more than 12 years. Let's join him. We're adding him now. Hello, Dr. Pradeep. How are you today?
Hi. Yeah, I'm good, Fizza.
How's everything going at your end in Mangalore? How's the beach treating you?
Yeah, it's treating me good.
Okay, that's great.
Right.
So before going on to the more major topics, please tell us what you do and let our viewers know what you really actually are into.
Yeah, so I'm a community physician. I work as an associate professor in Agents of Medical Sciences in the Department of Community Medicine. And here, apart from seeing patients on a daily basis, we also do a lot of community-related work in the in the villages and in the city as well. And with the corona pandemic out there, we've been on duty for the last 18 months continuously from the time the pandemic has started. And our department, our institution is working pretty tirelessly towards all what we want, and that is the end of the.
The
So
true
we're all doing a bit.
frontliners.
Yeah, we're all doing a bit. We're all doing a bit. So that's about it. And we will
Working in
continue
the
to do this.
background.
Yeah. We will continue to do this as long as we can.
Right. Okay. So, what has your experience been so far, with this entire pandemic and the rural areas and the community that you've been serving all this while?
Yeah. So today I got a feedback form from the government of Karnataka, which asked me, okay, what's your experience been? Tell me the good things about it. So I started typing, and then I realized that there is so much, and then I just cut it short and said that yeah, it's good. So to tell you frankly, the community work is very satisfying. We know that the ICU work is also very satisfying because somebody is in the brink of the death, and you bring them back to life. Hundreds have been brought back to life due to the tireless efforts of doctors as well as the other healthcare workers. We all work as a team. But then, again, to check the transmission and to check the spread, stuff and things we do in the community are very important. And being in the forefront doing that for the last few months has been enthralling, has been exhausting, has been very informative, great learning experience, something very new for us. And at the same time, we throw ourselves up and say that, okay, you tell us what to do and we are here to do. That's the spirit and attitude with which we're going forward. But we're trying to do our best.
Spirits of true heroes, I must say.
For me, everybody is a hero. Everybody is a hero whoever is working towards the pandemic. So all credits to everybody, including you, who's doing your bit to ensure that the pandemic is.
Thank you. And so what has been your experience? Like, are we slowly moving towards the end of the pandemic, or we yet in, amidst the whole thing, or where are we right now? Truly.
So that's a very good question. That's a very good question. So see, we always need to learn from history. So what happened 100 years back was there were waves like this, and they thought, okay, the wave is going to end now. We're going to get another wave, and successive waves just kept happening. So that was so many years back. But with the advent of medicine, I'm sure we would be able to keep a check with the number of waves, and we all want to look at a very bright 2022 at least. So that's the hope. Inshallah, that's the hope.
Yeah. Yes, that's amazing. Let's hope that. We all really want to hear that, especially me. I want my kids to go back to school ASAP. They're losing out on so much, So, we've prepared a very short some rapid, you can say rapid fire questions for you, which could be short and fun. And at the same time would cover a lot of, important topics. Let's start with this, okay? So first, second, supposedly the third wave. How many more?
I'm sorry?
First,
Can I come
second,
again?
supposedly the third, right?
Okay.
How many more waves?
Okay, yeah. So I told you 100 years back, the influenza pandemic, there were supposedly we had about 9 waves, right? So we've just done with 2 waves now. We're always in for the long. We're always in for the long haul, but I do not speculate too many waves. Maybe a third and a little bit of fourth, and maybe a fifth, and that's it.
All right, that sounds something. When can kids return to school? Toddlers, primary years, middle schoolers, and high school kids in separate ways. I want you to answer separately for toddlers, primary years, middle schoolers, and then high school kids.
Yeah, logic tells us that we put in the elder kids bravely up front and let the younger ones kind of wait. But then ICMR just a couple of days told us, Dr. Balram Bhargava himself had told us that it is better to in fact send the primary school children to school first and then follow it up with a middle and high school. But then I don't see that happening because we always go by our sentiments and our logic. So what I would see is probably next month we'll have the 10th standards and high school slowly in a couple of months. And then maybe in 3 months, middle school. And by the time we probably are going to open it for the primary school, there could be a possibility of a wave slightly peaking up. So that would kind of put us back. And then the cycle repeats for the next 4 months is what I suspect.
Oh, okay. So more or less, it's the same cycle that is going to follow.
Yeah, more or less, but yeah.
For how long do you think?
So that's the big question. So for how long is probably by my estimates, conservative estimates, I think nothing less than another 12 months.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. That sounds something. All right. When will the pandemic end was the question which we've just asked. Okay. Getting vaccinated versus getting.
Yeah. So coming to the end, coming to the end part of it, just to clarify. So this is a pandemic, and then what we have is we have localized hotspots wherein it will be an epidemic.
Right.
So from a pandemic, which is a global concern, it comes to epidemic proportions in certain geographic regions. And then post that probably would have localized endemic outbreaks. So that's how it's going to taper down.
That's what we probably learned from the previous viruses that's come in, and then the vaccination developed, right?
Exactly. So that's our learning, and we're going to apply that for this as well. And I think that's how it's going to be.
All right. Okay. So that answers my question. Will there be a third wave? Yes, I guess it is going to be there.
The magnitude is what matters. The magnitude is what matters, and it's all in our hands to see what the magnitude is.
Right. All right. And so getting vaccinated versus getting immunity via the infected, you get infected and then you get more immunity, or do you think vaccination provides more?
For me, without a doubt, it is get vaccinated. Simple as that. The answer is straightforward: vaccinated. Yeah.
But you think people who've already been infected, would they have probably had some more good immunity, or do you think the virus is evolving and then that immunity may not hold good for every strain?
No, the recommendations are very clear. That even if you are infected, after 3 months, you have to get vaccinated. So you wait for a period of 90 days and then get vaccinated. So it's vaccinated any day.
Right. Okay. Stay at home with no socializing may affect mental health or socializing responsibly.
Mental health getting affected and keeping ourselves mentally stable and then kind of revitalizing ourselves is much more easier and comfortable compared to going into physical difficulties and even a possible death. So I would say we stick to home, stay at home, and try to stay happy. But then we got to stay at home.
Okay, that says it all. Do you stand for gloves, PPE, face shield, or just mask and frequent sanitization?
I don't go for a lot of paraphernalia. I would just suggest double masking. Okay, double masking and sanitization, of course, wherever it's possible.
Right. And do you think the PPE and the extra coverage in the front with the face shield may not be required?
No, it is important based on the situation we are handling. If you are in a very high risk area, and for obvious reasons you're seeing the COVID patients, then that's how it will be. But then, with my own experience, I've been visiting COVID positive patients. I mean, for the last, I think we started on the May the 13th, and it's going on continuously. And we are just going with a double mask and a face shield and a gloves when you're seeing the COVID positive patients, because that's all we can afford to now. For common people, I would suggest double masking is way good enough as opposed to a single mask. So please go with double mask.
So there's this entire controversy which says that, not necessary you need to sanitize your hands. Like the really is not spreading through, rubbing the eyes or rubbing the nose. It's really spreading through the air. What would you say for that?
The viruses are everywhere. COVID appropriate behavior includes this, so this is not appropriate behavior all the time. So doing that. So that's not expected. So for us to kind of learn this and undo whatever we're doing before is a challenge. So when we have the mask on and probably we have the face shield on, the chances of us actually rubbing our eyes, rubbing our ears are far lesser. And that is one reason why we advocate it. At the same time, if you're wearing a glove, the chances of you rubbing yourself is far lesser. And what you do is probably rub yourself the other part of the body. What you're not kind of, expected. So what I would say is you have to have a double mask on and try to avoid your finger contact with your eyes or your other parts of your face as far as possible. And that's important.
Any mucous membranes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, children versus adults, who can sustain the virus better?
We've seen it. Our kids are doing much better. The first wave, the second wave, the adults are the ones who've been affected badly compared to children for all strange reasons. There are few reasons, but then it is the children who are doing better than the adults.
That's good. Covishield versus Covaxin.
This is a quintessential question which is thrown always. For me, both are the same. It's like two faces of the same coin. Either Covishield or Covaxin, doesn't matter, whatever it is. The one you get, please do take it.
What about the travel plans then?
Travel plans. So
people take Covishield, they're not recognized. Covaxin, they don't recognize.
Yeah. So it's just about time. Time. What's going to happen is after spending so many thousands of crores, I'm sure Covaxin also will be approved in the days to come by the US FDA. And that being a benchmark, what happens is other countries also start to kind of accept it. In fact, I think Estonia has already is okay with Covaxin, and a few of the European Union countries are also okay with Covaxin coming up front. So It's just about time. I think Covaxin will be accepted as well as the Chile.
Right, makes sense. Okay, so we have the Wuhan, Delta plus, Lambda. What's the next expectant variant? I would reframe this question saying, which one is more lethal? Which one has been the worst, or do you think the worst is yet to come?
See, we are running out of the Greek alphabets. We have every damn Lambda. There are so many we are running out of. But to put it frankly, so Delta plus variant has got two types now, and there's a second variant which probably looks and sounds more lethal. But to tell you frankly, we do not have enough data to support whatever we're talking. So I don't think we should be spreading any kind of false fears. At the same time, we all have to be very guarded, and we all have to be very careful. And that's the learning, in fact. So maybe we'll come up with a new alphabet later and say it's more lethal, but it's just about time.
Right, you're right. So that's about with our long questions cut short. Let's go to some questions which might require a little more of an explanation. So, how's the rural community actually dealing with the virus and vaccination drive? Because that's important for us. Since we're living in a community, we need to make sure that everybody is vaccinated so that, we are moving towards the end sooner. So, because I have my own driver, in fact, he completely refuses to get vaccinated. He says, no matter come what may, I will not get vaccinated. And we've been on this prowl every single day to kind of convince him. And I think now the new government rules say that your Aadhaar card will be cancelled if, so the government is doing its job.
So first thing is, I need to speak to a driver. So after this call. so the second thing is, what happened in the first wave was the rural community was really not affected. Okay, but then with the second wave, what we've seen is the rural and the peri-urban community, the people are all affected. In fact, we've been going house to house, and I've gone to the last kind of house on the Karnataka side of the border, deep inside the jungle, where
Wow.
we had COVID positive patients. Okay,
Okay.
so if it can reach there, it can just reach anywhere.
Right.
So the point is very simple. The rural community this time is affected. People who were in the urban side and who are actually from the rural community, they've gone back to infect large swathes of the rural community. So it's there everywhere. It's very pan India in structure. That's how it is.
Have they been
So,
vaccinated enough?
yeah. So coming to the second question as to the vaccination part of it, it completely depends upon the micro plan of the area and the thinking of the area. So what I've observed is there are people who have been championing the cause of vaccination in rural communities, and at that point of time, people are accepting it. But there is also a lot of hesitancy when it comes to vaccines, and there are so many different types of things. You know what happens? A very common thing is when they take the first jab, sometimes they get fever. Okay, so when they
Right.
get fever on the first time, then they don't want to take the second jab. So that's how silly it is. At the same time, there are all sorts of misconceptions and doubts with regard to the vaccine. So it's very important that community leaders, especially in the rural community, the leaders, religious leaders, they come up and they say that, hey, listen, this is something for all of us, and we need to take this. If that's the message they can send across, and I'm sure we'll be able to overcome the hesitancies. Yet remember that our country is doing very good. We have vaccinated about 43 crores doses as of yesterday. So we are the world's largest vaccination drive is going on. So these are very positive pointers towards the vaccination. Something like hesitancy will be there, and I'm sure over a period of time we will be able to overcome it.
Awesome. That's really like a positive note to start off with, before the next wave comes in. The next question, which I've very commonly been asked, by my patients and a lot of people, like friends, like my dad is a diabetic. His my dad or a mom, they are diabetic, they have hypertension, plus they have heart disease. Can they go ahead and take Covishield? Is it going to cause clotting? What are the side effects? Because there's so much of this thing happening that some people have actually, lost their life after vaccination. That's what it was.
My answer is simple. They are the first ones who should be going and taking the vaccination. Okay? They are the ones who are having the comorbid conditions. All right? So with comorbidity, if they are going to, God forbid, be infected with the virus, the chances of them being hospitalized are much more. The length of hospitalizations are much more. The severity of infections is much more. And even a possible death is much more in these people who are having comorbid conditions.
Absolutely.
So
but now Covaxin or Covishield, that's what they said. Like, is Covishield going to cause that clotting in the body is what they're fearful of.
See, studies have been done and studies have shown very clearly that the chances are extremely minimal. Extremely minimal. I'm not denying the fact that there are chances, but then the chances of that are extremely minimal. Okay, so this is no good reason for you to not take the vaccine. We have to take the vaccine because we always look at the public good. We always see the larger numbers, So you can just go ahead and take the vaccine. You can.
No.
If you
again,
have to,
so again, the question was Covishield or Covaxin has.
I'm getting there. I've been asked this so many times. So it's not a difficult thing to answer for me because my answer is always going to be only one. I will always say that both the vaccines are same. I will always maintain that you please access the vaccine whatever you get, and that is very important. So what happens is many people initially when Covishield was offered, they said no, we'll wait for Covaxin, and then they did not take the Covishield and they were waiting for Covaxin, and then Covaxin came. Once Covaxin came, the numbers were pretty less, okay, in production, and then they could not get the vaccine, and then they were asking for Covishield. So both ways, what happened is they only delayed the process of taking the vaccine, and meanwhile, those who got the infection without taking the vaccine, they had to bear the brunt of it. So, so I would not want anybody to go through that. And in fact, we are already in July 2021, and if you haven't taken the vaccine, it's a cause of concern. You got to take your vaccine, whatever it is, Covishield or Covaxin. Please take it right away. That's the message. That's the most important.
Absolutely. That's perfect. I think very well said there. So now coming to the efficacy versus the effectiveness rather of the available vaccine, Covaxin versus Covishield now.
So what happens is, efficacy is what the numbers which throw up when it comes to the prevention of infection under ideal trial conditions. So for any vaccine to be there in the public domain, before it comes to public domain, it goes through a set procedure of trials. For all those who think that the vaccine trials was done quickly and it was done fast and trials are not done properly, I'm sorry, that's not what it is. Both the vaccines and the other vaccines are coming in, which is like Sputnik and the other vaccines are coming in. All the vaccines have been subjected to intense trials. The government would never jeopardize the lives of the people without doing something, very meticulously when it comes to something like this. The government has done that. We've pumped in thousands of crores and ensured that every stage of the trial has been done meticulously and has been done correctly. So after that, whatever numbers which throw up when it comes to the number of lives or the number of people who have been saved in the trials,
Yes.
that is the efficacy. Okay? So the effectiveness, so that is in the ideal trial conditions. But when it comes to effectiveness, it is the number of lives which will be saving in the actual community in real life scenario.
Okay.
So those studies are coming up. In fact, I'm trying to be part of a study. So it will be somewhere in consonance with what the efficacy is. It's about 70%, 80%. That's what it means. So 80% of the people have been saved from getting the infection. So that's what it is.
Okay, that's a good number to start with. I mean,
Yeah.
wherever we are right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. That's great. So, see, tell me since you've been seeing so many patients and, especially in the rural areas and also in the community, what are the chemical changes that take place in the brain? Like, the psychological, neurocognitive symptoms that one may experience. Like, example, one of them is brain fog, right? So,
Yeah.
can you speak a little about that?
Well, to be frank, there's not much what I have observed with regard to this. So I don't think I have not in my personal experience I have not really seen something like that. So I really cannot comment on that. So yeah,
Maybe
that's
at the
what.
ICU level is what probably we see, or maybe
Yeah,
once
probably.
patients are out of
Yeah,
the.
probably when the patients are deteriorating and the patients are there on the the critical care. That's when these factors come into play.
So we can be rest assured that not necessary that if you're at the home quarantine level that these may not show up
So
prominently.
no. What happens is we need to know when to go to the hospital. That is
Right.
very important.
Right.
Now that the numbers are less, we are probably not concentrating on that.
Correct.
But then, even then, yesterday we had about 1,700, 1,800 cases in our state. Bangalore itself showing about 400 cases yesterday, 3 deaths. So we need to know when to go to the hospital. So for that, saturation is a very sensitive marker. In fact, there's something called the 6-minute walk test and a 3-minute walk
Right.
test. So if you're less than the age of 60, you can take the 6-minute walk test, and if there's a drop in, say, 4% or more and less than 94%, it's a good enough reason to consult a doctor, go to a hospital. So when we don't do that, when you don't appreciate that, that is when patients go into kind of, all these complications. So it's very important that we identify it early and go to the hospital.
Right. Correct. So the 6-minute walk test and you said the 3 minutes walk test.
The
Right?
3-minute walk test is for people who are more than 60 years. So they
Okay.
just need to walk continuously for 3 minutes, just like how we do a 6-minute walk.
Right.
That's
Absolutely. So any long-term effects on of COVID-19 on the body, and do you think is there any particular race that is more susceptible to a particular strain?
Not really when it comes to a racial kind of difference. Initially it was like, we Indians have rasam, we Indians have chili, so, things won't affect us. And the whites are not this, when, it was a big problem in Italy and Spain, even theory which are proposed. And then over a period of time, we understood that our rasam and our chili probably did not work. And then we understood that, okay, probably the rasam and the chili is working because it's helping in the post-COVID care. So we love our rasam so much that we just can't let it go away. But so I don't see any racial kind of a difference. But then I think your initial question was your first question. The first question with that.
Yeah, it was like any long-term effects of the COVID.
Yeah, long-term effects. So it's been just like 15 months now, 16 months now. So we need to wait and see. But then what the radiologists and the pulmonologists are saying is definitely some kind of a lung kind of an issue. is being seen, and I'm sure you have also done a video as to how you could improve your lung health. That was awesome. So I
Right.
think we need to take care of our lungs. We need to take care of our health in general. We got to be physically active. See, long-term effects are really not in our hands. What is in our
Absolutely.
hands is to prevent the infection in the first place. So we got to do that. And for those who have been infected already and who've gone through an episode of COVID, you really cannot think about the long-term effects. All you can think of is the present. Live in the
Right.
present. Living in the present literally means that you guys got to take care of your health. Got to be physically active. Be happy. These are the things which are very important. Be really resilient. Be with family. These are things which are important, and not really worry about the long-term effects. Yeah.
Right. I think we have a question, and it says, if you don't mind, I would like to know that my grandfather is a hypertensive patient and raised BP. After that, Covaxin, what is the possible reason?
Okay, probably she missed her drugs, for all you know.
Right.
For all you know, she would have just speculating, It might not be the case as well. So sometimes what happens is, you have it's something new what the body is taking in. The body is taking something new. So sometimes, especially when it comes to old people and hypertensive people, this is a possibility, and that is why we have a very definitive 30-minute observation period. So we should not skip that. For the 30-minute observation period, if you're going to observe her properly and look after her properly, and if she tides over it, that should be good enough. So this would be the case with certain other individuals as well. And this observation period after the vaccination is very crucial. We need to stay put wherever we are and get ourselves observed. Even for healthy people, that's what it is. So more so with the people with comorbidities.
Right. Right. So I hope that answers your question. Mine's pen. Okay. And moving on to the next one, tell us more about the scenario and the virus that most of us, like as commoners, don't know. I mean, like, we know the basics, right? Even if you wake us up, like, from wherever we are, we know that you have to wash your hands. So, have the social distancing, wear the mask and everything. Anything else that really the commoners, any point that is not reached to us yet and we're not practicing, or something more important? Like first thing you said, of course, the 3 to 6 minute test, which more or less as all of us know, but then we really didn't know when to exactly go, when was the right time to check the saturation, what was the way to truly do it. That's one. And also, after that, you can, of course, give us your advice to all the people over here.
See,
Whatever you
what I have observed is, usually at homes you have people who be working, okay, and who are the ones who are usually in touch with a lot of other people. So it is very important that this person at home takes the responsibility to ensure that everybody else at home is very safe. So that kind of developing that internal consciousness is very, very important. Similarly, with others at home also, we got to be very conscious about what's happening around. You don't need to be paranoid. So there's a difference between being paranoid, being obsessively compulsive disorders, at the same time being very conscious.
Yes.
So maintaining that level of consciousness, ensuring that others at home are not really affected because of our actions, especially when you have elderly patients at home, elderly parents at home, or parents with comorbid conditions, or a differently abled child, or an immunosuppressed individual. It's a problem house with such kind of conditions possible. So we all got to be very careful and very clear about what we're doing.
Yes.
So that's one thing. And at the same time, for the public good, I think all of us in general, we are all in the times of the Olympics now, and the spirit of brotherhood is there. So I think this kind of a spirit and a goodness should carry on forward to everybody, for the fact that we're all living for each other. We're all living for each other. So we cannot just be selfish about our family and ourselves, but at the same time, we need to ensure that the people around us are also safe. And for that, what is important is, if you got symptoms, please get tested.
Yes.
Because by the act of testing, what's going to happen is you will know your status very well, and because of that, you would save so many people from this unwanted infection.
Yes.
That is very, very important.
Right.
I've seen many of us missing out on that. They know that For sure, they have some symptoms, but they want to be at home, be away, and all that. But then
Yeah.
that's not the way it is. We got to get tested. That's very important.
Be kind, be human, be conscious, be mindful.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Great awareness.
Very
Thank you
mindful.
so much. Thank you so much for
Oh.
today. It's been really eye-opening for me. It's been a really nice session because I learned so much about community medicine and how you've been really taking care, people like you rather have been really taking care of everybody around in the background where not much has been seen or spoken of. So thank you
Yeah,
so much,
I'm
Ravi.
very yeah, I'm very thankful to you for getting me on board. So thank you so much for being my old friend. It's
I know.
very nice. It's very nice to connect on a very scientific platform, though it's a social platform. So
Thank you
thank you
so much for
for
coming over.
thank you so much. Thank you for
I
that. Thank
really
you.
enjoyed this talk. Took me back to
Yeah,
our old
absolutely.
days when we would discuss medicine, I guess.
My pleasure. My
Take
pleasure to be
care.
there. Thank you.
You have a great
Yeah,
day and
yeah, you
enjoy
too.
the beaches and the warmth.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.